Thank you. You, dear Mark. Toda. Friends, it's good to be together on the second day of Rosh Chodesh Elul. And it felt to me that it came as a chesed. I can't speak up. Kilo, I'm speaking at my maximum. My mic is at the max and my mic is here. I recommend wearing headphones. It really, really helps. Thank you. When we heard the news on Sunday morning, thank you. When we heard the news on Sunday morning, I just want to share this with you, friends. It was a shift, and I'll name the shift that it was for me. That it really was a shift from tikva to avelut, from hope to mourning. For these six, and especially for Hirsch, who maybe because he's partly American, maybe because his parents were so active and he was so present, so we all felt very close to him, and his parents live in my neighborhood now that I'm back to Jerusalem. And I remember, on Shabbat, I was dedicating my Dvar Torah to him, my cup of wine, my laughter to him, literally. And for the past 11 months, I've been saying to my friends, every time we're having a good moment, right? Because it's actually important to not prevent ourselves from leaving. It's actually a responsibility for their sake, yeah, to enjoy what we can, but to enjoy it with them, for them, to dedicate this to them. And I want to share with you, I had to make a lot of work on myself to keep hoping. And literally, and those who study with me, you know that this was the theme of last month. Yeah. It wasn't a coincidence. It's because it was actually hard for me to keep the hope. And so it was a practice, and I gave everything to this. And if you've heard Hirsch's mom and father, right? They were just giving everything. And then suddenly we have to give up. We just have to give up because it's done. And there's even some relief in there, right? That, okay, no more fighting, no more suffering. And she said it, right? You're free at last. She said it at the funeral. And so for these six and for him, we moved from hope to mourning. Okay, now we have to sit down and cry. That it's finished, it's over. And there are 100 still there. And so for them, we have to keep hoping. We have to keep praying. And I'll share with you something I shared with my class on Tuesday, and it may sound radical. It is radical. I was sharing with them that when I pray the Amidah lately, when I say Hashiva Shuftenu Kavarishona, like bring back our judges as of in the past, this idea of the judges as the leaders. And I'm not saying this by coincidence, I'm saying this because it's the parasha, this week's parasha, Shoftim. So the judges used to be our leaders. And that's an interesting thing. It wasn't a political leader. It was someone meant to represent justice, mishpat tzedek. And it's said in the first verse. They had to judge not just mishpat, not just justice, but a righteous justice, mishpat tzedek. That was their responsibility. And then the second verse of our parasha, there's a source sheet. I'm not even going to share it with you. I'm just saying you. Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, leman tichye. Justice, justice you shall pursue so that you live. And that is a responsibility suddenly for all of us, for each of us. Not just for the leader, not just for the shofet, but for each of us to seek this. And so when I'm praying lately, because we're all, maybe you are, as I am, wondering, what is the solution? What is the solution? Clearly the military, it's a zero-sum game. It's a no-win game. Like, we can't get to them unless a miracle, right? And so what is left to us? What is left to us? And I think I'll share with you one of the teachings of the Mea Shiloach from this year, the Ishbitzer Rebbe, about Moshe. Still praying, even when the gzera, when the decree has been decreed that he won't get to enter the land. He says he can still levakesh rachamim, even if everything seems decreed already and all said and done and hopeless, basically. You can always still ask for compassion. And so when I say Shiva Shoftenu, I think of the Israeli political leaders and I pray that something in them may wake up in their heart, that they may decide to pursue justice too. And I pray, and this is what may sound radical. I actually started sometimes when I dare doing this, because it's very hard even for me. I pray for the Hamas leaders to open a little bit their human heart. What do I have to lose? What else? And now I'll share with you my soul sheet. I'll share with you just a little snippet of the commentary of the Mea Shiloach on Parashat Shoftim. Right? Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha. You shall give for yourself judges and officers. And then he says this. This is how he understands the sentence. Listen, friends. היינו, שיחשוב האדם את דרכיו בכל מעשיו שיעשה, כמו שמסיים בסוף למען תחיה. He says, this is what it means. What does it mean to place for yourself? It really means for yourself, for your own individual self. You should place this this character within you of the judge. Meaning, basically, you should do cheshbon nefesh, right? You should think. Yachshov, lachshov has something also to do with cheshbon in the root. To think very carefully about your ways and your actions, how you do them. And then he says, as it says in the end of the verse, the next verse, lema'an tichye. This is what he's saying. And he's not saying this now when reading this parasha as a coincidence. He's saying this because usually these parashot are read around the time of Elul, around the month of Tshuva. And so here is an invitation, friends, for something very concrete about Tshuva. That we should all keep pursuing justice. We should all start with ourselves. Pursuing justice starts with myself. Am I righteous in my actions? What else can I do? What else can I do that work on myself? And the whole world is pointing fingers at each other, right? But imagine if each person in the world and these leaders and us, because if we want them to change, we need to change. If each of us was saying, let me do my cheshbon nefesh. Let me be righteous. Let me seek to be righteous. And this is life. Life comes from there. And then he says something so beautiful, really moving and heartbreaking in a way. B'mishpat lo yalchu le'avdan. It's not well translated. That's a Sephaya translation, but it really means in justice, things don't go to get lost. Okay, and this is what I'm seeing. Even if it's so heartbreaking, this is what I saw at the funeral of Ori Danino, and this is what I heard also at the funeral of Hirsch Goldberg Pauline, is the wisdom of their loved ones. Incredible strength and wisdom that they're teaching us. And that's because, right, if you hear Hirsch's parents, they've been so righteous from the beginning. You know, his mother, 2 weeks after he was taken with his arm blown off, and she saw it. She saw the images, right? Do you know what I remember from her first speech at the UN? She said, hating is too easy. Hatred is too easy. That's righteousness. And his father at the Democratic Party convention in the US, he said, in the competition of victims, nobody wins. What a teaching. And now their last teaching was gratefulness for having had this human in their lives and just really, really seeking to embody the values they taught him and that he was embodying. And so it's our responsibility to show up to that, to stand up to that in dignity, to kind of send back to them this light of dignity and righteousness, if that makes sense. So let's sit like this. Let's sit for them right now. Let's sit for them. For them and also for the ones who are still there. Let's embody what they're not receiving. And that starts with your body posture, my friends. So please sit in a way that is very dignified. Do any micro adjustment you need to do. Sit in a way that feels very comfortable and that feels like you're embodying the stance that you want to have in life. Being upright. Sitting in dignity, sitting in ease, in stability, sitting in kindness because it goes together. Let's embody the kindness we so need and they so need. And please receive the kindness of your breath. Receive the kindness of your breath. And exhale kindness in the world. Let's sit with this. And if your thoughts take you away from this moment, when you notice this, as you notice this is the great victory. This is the victory of presence. And so welcome yourself back. Mamash mamash, the model of tshuva, returning over and over again with kindness. For the last part of our sit, I want to invite us to do the cheshbon nefesh. So asking ourselves, what is an area in my life where I can be more righteous, more fair, more just to myself, to others, more kind. for the last 2 minutes of our seat. Can we do loving kindness, chesed, sending love and kindness to Hirsch's parents and his sisters, to all the families of the six and their friends who are in pain right now. This is also doing justice, tzedakah, reestablishing by holding a little bit of their pain right now, by sending kindness to them. Keeping the weight. And for the last couple of breaths of our meditation, can we send loving kindness to those who are still held captive? Just one breath for them right now. And one breath for their families and their loved ones. And one breath for each other who came together to sit on this Zoom, holding each other's pain, kindness to each other. And one breath for all of Am Yisrael, all the Jews in the world, opening our hearts to them. And we finish inviting, if you'd like, with me, the leaders to open their hearts. Let's take a beautiful breath in, out. Let's get ready to blow the shofar and to say Kaddish with Rabbi Mark.
Thank you for all of that, Mira. Friends, we seal the practice as we do each day, offering those of you who are in mourning, observing a yard site. If it's your custom to join in the Kaddish, to do so. You can put the name or names of those you're holding in your heart today in the chat now or after you recite Kaddish. If you're not reciting Kaddish, we ask that you please stay present, offer your presence and support for those who are. And after we recite Kaddish, we'll blow the shofar, as is traditional each day of month of Elul, other than on Shabbat. So if you are reciting Kaddish, I invite you to join me by rising in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Yitkadal
Kadash Merabah Amad Divrach Yote
Chayechon Yomechon
Chaye Tachol Be'Israel Kala Zman Kariv Amen Shmerabah Bevorah V'yatav, V'yatalal, Be'ed Kudashah,
Mikol
V'yachta,
Birchas
V'shirata,
Am
Vanechamata, Amen.
Arava
Marava,
Mishamaya
Shemaya Tachayim,
Leinu
Kol Yisrael, Amen. Aseh Shalom Aseh Shalom Aleinu, Kol Yisrael,
Yoshvei
Kol Yoshvei
Tevel.
Tevel, V'imru, Amen.
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 Friends, thanks for joining us today. And the second day of 2-day Rosh Chodesh Elul. Today is day 1 of the month of Elul. We hope you have a meaningful month of practice, Cheshbon HaNefesh, of reflection, preparation for the new year. And we're glad to be here, have this opportunity to do it together as a community. If you're leaving us now, we hope you'll join us tomorrow. We'll be led tomorrow by Rabbi Daniel Raphael Silverstein of Applied Jewish Spirituality, joining us from Israel as well. Looking forward to that very much. We hope you'll, if you're leaving us now, you'll be back tomorrow at our usual time. And you're welcome to continue to sit with us if you'd like. You can turn the sound off on your device. Just use this time and space for your own practice, or join us for questions or conversation with Rabbi Mira. As they say in Milim, there are no words, Mira. I just want to thank you for really for all of that, for everything. Thank you. Thanks for the gift of enabling us to feel what is true and lifting up the Torah so beautifully. We could talk about a lot of things, but really what most affected me in this practice today was the sense of participating in Shiva and Shiva, as if we're sitting in the house or these houses of mourning and being present in a way. You know, when you invited everybody to adjust their posture, do that micro adjustment and adopt, you know, as mindfulness teachers often say, adopt a posture that's dignified, honorable. I thought about, one of the names for the Jewish people is B'nai Yeshurun, the upright. I think you used the word upright, which would make me think of it, right?
Yeah.
Which comes from the root, the word yashar, straight, upright. There's so many, you know, there are many, so many words that are related. So what I wanted to ask you, because you also invited us beautifully at the end to help us connect, you know, connect with the families, connect with those still in captivity, connect with the leaders, you know, in general, well, all the leaders. We talk about these virtual communities, which we've learned are so powerful. I wanted to invite you to just talk about the nature of that connection. Like, what is it like to actually feel? We're not physically in that place, right? We're not like, I'm here. I'm not at the Shiva house.
Yeah.
But there is an impact. I want to, like, you know, there's an actual impact that could be felt. What is it? If you're willing to share a little bit about what that's like for you. Do you feel like you're really there? Do you feel like it has an impact? What is
Um,
I want to invite other people also who are here to maybe share on that, because we do this every day. We connect with each other every day,
Yeah.
but this is a particularly powerful way of doing it.
Yeah, you know, I think Kabbalah has said it for millennia, and then Einstein kind of made it, how do you say, popular, right, in the secular world. But the world, the palpable world, in a way, is more accessible, but it's an illusion.
Mhm.
The limits of space and time, if we stop there, we're missing out on so much. And I think this is one of the things, and one of the things we've experienced as meditation teachers and practitioners since COVID, like the truth of connection, that it's palpable, like energy
Mhm.
defies time and distance. And the
Mhm.
Tibetan Buddhist monks also, like they've been playing with that, right? And I was hearing at the funeral Hirsch's sister, one of his sisters, saying that she had felt for these 11 months, right, a thread, a kav from her beten, from
Mhm.
her belly to him, and it was and she could feel him breathe, that she was breathing with him. And perhaps that's why he did survive, as his mother commended him too. He did survive. He stayed alive. These things are real, and I think it should give us hope when we're not there, because maybe it can be difficult for some of you being right. I'm going to go to the shiva,
Mhm.
right? It's here, but and you should know that you can be there too. And in a way, that's what his mother said, that she had felt
Mhm.
the tremendous support of
Mhm.
everyone, like the energy. Um, and I think those who came out alive also from captivity, they said they felt held by so much love. And so for me, it's very clear. And, in Psalm 27, we say this sentence, which is one of my favorite ones in the whole of Torah. Lecha amar libi bakshu fanai.
Mhm.
On your behalf. It's like I'm speaking to God, and I say to God, my heart is speaking for you. And he's saying, seek my face. And it's this invitation in Elul to see going out in the field to meet the king who is in the field, right? To see this going out as actually going into my
Mhm.
heart. And this is
Mhm.
how I connect, through distance. And that's what we did in the meditation. When you believe in it, it's very real. You just have to open the door to it, and it's right there. And that was another commentary that we saw with some of you on Tuesday, like the heart, reconnecting to the heart. That's very, very much at the center of Elul. And I want to remind us again that in the Jewish perspective, the heart is not just the seat of emotions, it's the seat of mindfulness, of attention, somet lev. So we have to dare believing that it's true, because it is. We have to remember and think about it. Jews survived in diaspora, survived as a culture. They stayed connected through time and distance for 2,000 years. And I think they felt connected with each other, with the land. And we have to believe, we have to keep believing.
Beautiful. I think it may be easy for people to either say or even to think, oh, we're not doing anything here. We're just sitting. We're not doing anything. And on one level, that's true. But based on what you're saying, we are doing quite a bit. We're cultivating presence that has an impact, and we're cultivating connection that has an impact, that moves, that literally has an impact. It has a
Oh yeah, mamash.
palpable impact.
Yeah, and I'll tell
So
you, I think the problem, sorry,
that's
no,
okay.
I'll just say, I
Please.
think the problem is not even that, it's that people don't believe enough that it's true, and so they don't sit enough because they don't believe
Mm-hmm.
enough, right? If everybody
Mm-hmm.
realized, when we sit in presence, intentionality, and kindness, we change the energy in the world, we change the energy field in the world, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody will say that, right? The non-dualists, the Buddhists, it's real. So sorry, yeah,
No,
what were you
no.
saying?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I want to pick up another thing you taught about something. I feel like I could talk to you for 3 hours right now about many of the pieces you touched on. Um, is the relationship you talked about moving from hope to grief, but then you also
Yeah.
talked about how you invoked Hirsch in Kiddush, right? And in moments of joy, when you were sort of saying, I took it as even with this grief, even with this pain, even with this fear, it's essential to be able to seek joy, manifest joy, practice joy on behalf, not not in spite of what's happening to other people, but for them in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which reminded me of the passage in the Talmud where after the temple is destroyed, and there's this sense about like, oh, what are we going to do now? We can't. It says, and we have a teaching that says it's necessary, it's essential to find joy in life, and to remember and to connect that joy with remembering suffering and pain.
Mamash, it's a responsibility, and I can tell you that in Israel, it's also a way of saying that we don't want to let terrorism win, because that's what terrorism does. It terrorizes people, and then right now, it doesn't mean. I personally have renounced certain things this year, because I felt I'm in mourning. Yeah, so it doesn't mean we just do everything. But I
Right.
know that I make a point to not punish myself, because let's name it survivor's guilt. We all have
Right.
that. We
Right.
all have that, yeah. And it's very important. It would be betraying them to, actually not appreciate this cup of tea in the morning, looking at the
Right.
sky, because we can and they can't. And it's just about dedicating to them the cup of tea, remembering that, keeping that, keeping that contact alive, keeping that connection alive. And friends, I think we need to keep believing. The more we believe that this connection is sustaining them, the more we have a chance for something.
I mean, but I think what you're describing, for me, the way I understand that, is transforming, it's noticing that survivor's guilt and transforming it into doing it on their behalf. Like your
Yeah,
kiddush is, he can't make kiddush, you're doing it for him, right? That's
mamash.
quite I think that's quite transformative. Um, um, can you, somebody is asking, you brought up a lot of different teachings, but there was a teaching by Rachel Hirsch,
Rachel?
yeah,
Mm. Yeah, I
like
can.
you're asking, I'm trying to remember what it was.
When that someone asked me to elaborate on what she said.
Yeah.
So one of the first things, and I shared it with my class. So apologies because I see some of you are here. So if I'm repeating myself, but it's actually quite powerful. She started by saying, "Why me?"
All right.
But she said, "Why me?" in a positive sense. Can you imagine the insanity? Instead of saying, "Why me? Why did I have to lose my son?" She said, "What did I do to God to deserve to be so lucky to be the mother of this kid?" So it's not about her, it's about him, and she got to be his mother for the 23 years of life that he went to this planet, right? What humility, right? This humility. Oh, it's not me and my son, it's there was this being, this luminous being, and wow, God gave me this root to be his mother, and she's keeping this with her. And I think that's the type of righteousness that the Meshilach is talking about, that's saying there is no
Mm-hmm.
avdan, that something there doesn't get lost. A life can be lost, a life of flesh, right? A lot of our conversation here is about how much we are much more than the flesh and life and death, that there are things
Right.
that go beyond. She literally
Right.
asked him to keep guiding her now that he's there. And she says, now I have to learn to have this new relationship, this other relationship. And I believe it's true.
Mm. So much Torah and wisdom in that. Incredible. Mira, we're at time. I want to thank you so much, as always. Exactly what we needed today. And thank you for being so generous um, with your time and with your teaching. So glad many of your students are here as well. And want to invite everyone to join us tomorrow to practice with Rabbi Daniel at our usual time. In the meanwhile, we're sending lots of love, support to you, Mira, and to our people there, and hope you can feel that as well.
Mamash. And thank you
Okay.
for holding space so beautifully. And thank you to each of you who showed up today, because you're holding space for each other.
Amen.
Everyone matters.
Thank you
Yeah.
all.
Thank you. Chodesh Tov, friends.
Okay.
Chodesh
Chodesh
Tov.